Gail Nelson and her daughter Jennifer Nelson are suing 25-year-old business analyst Kevin Harrell for destroying the paint job on their 9-day-old car with fireworks.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 427 on the calendar in the matter of Nelson versus Harrell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Harrell.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you on the 4th of July of last year, sir?
I was at a party with a friend, at a friend's house.
You were all in the backyard?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
You were lighting fireworks?
No, ma'am, that is not correct.
You were not lighting fireworks?
No, ma'am, and I have a witness that can attest to that fact.
You were never lighting fireworks?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Then, Miss Nelson, it is your claim that the defendant, while at a party at a neighbor's house, was lighting fireworks, and the fireworks sparkled over that he was lighting and damaged your car. You want Mr. Harrell to pay for the damage to your car?
Yeah. That is correct.
Okay. Did you see him actually light any of the fireworks?
He physically admitted to us that it was him that shot the fireworks off.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
I don't want to hear you. That's a lie. When I ask you a question, you'll answer the question. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. By the way, would you give Mr. Harrell this and ask him if this is his signature? That is your signature on the answer, sir. I'd like you to leave that with Mr. Harrell over there, please.
Thank you.
Who's going to speak?
I'm going to speak first.
Fine.
On approximately 11 o'clock on July 4th, 2002, I heard fireworks going on near my home. And I went to investigate. And when I did, I went to look out the sliding glass door, which is my den, facing the street, and the driveway where the car was parked, the 1998 Ford Taurus that we are saying has been damaged. I saw fireworks coming down over the car, and I looked to see where the fireworks were coming, and they were coming a couple of doors down from my home. I have a picture that you can see where the fireworks were coming from.
Are you behind the fence or in front of the fence?
My house is in front of the fence,
okay,
and the fireworks were coming from behind the fence.
Okay.
And I also want to add, at the time that the fireworks were being shot, that tree that you see was in bloom. And the fear of that tree being caught on fire that close to our homes was also causing me to be very worried that, you know, a fire could catch onto my house.
Who was the neighbor?
The neighbor, his name was... I want to give you a sheet of paper that he gave me his name, address, and phone number on, and also is standing by a phone right now if Judge Judy would like to call him, and he will confirm that Kevin Harrell was at his home and he was the one shooting the fireworks.
Just tell me what you saw.
Okay.
May I see the picture that she gave you?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. What I saw, I walked over, I am disabled, I walked over to the house, and when I got to the door, Kenneth McLemore identified himself, and his girlfriend was there. And the
door inside?
Inside, yes.
They were inside?
They came to the door, they were inside. When I told them what was happening, they apologized, and they said they would go and tell Kevin to stop shooting the fireworks, and apologized for it, and said that they had told him not to shoot the... Okay, seriously, I'm sorry. Okay, so I walked back, as I was walking back to my house, another set of fireworks went off at that time. I hollered to my daughter, she ducked because they were coming on top of her and the car. So I went into the house, called the police, and the policeman arrived, and here's his name and the police report.
Can I see the police report, please?
And I'm also providing what the Virginia Beach Code is regarding lighting of fireworks in our area.
You can leave the code there.
Okay.
I'm not
I'd like to
interested
see
in
a
the
copy of
Virginia
that
Beach
police
Code.
report, because the officer,
Can I see the police report,
said
please?
there was no report being filed due to the fact that there was no damage,
Can I
and
see the
also
police
due to the
report?
fact that there was
Tell him to
numerous
be quiet,
fireworks being
please.
lit off in the area.
I'm not paying attention to him. When it's his turn, he can speak. Try to explain that to him. Bird, would you explain that to him? Sure. When it's his turn, when the judge looks at him and asks him a question, he can speak.
Watch her. Speak when spoken to. You're going to be all right.
Yes, sir.
My man.
Thanks, Bird. No problem. Next.
When the policeman came, he went over to the house to discuss the issue of them shooting the fireworks off. After the policeman walked back to my house, Kevin and Kenneth and I think another friend of theirs came over, and Kevin said, let me see what damages I did. I didn't do any damages. And he looked at the car and he said, that's just dust on the car. My daughter then said,
the dust was multicolored. It was red, white, blue, black, orange specks all over the car. So it wasn't not dust, it was ash.
Well, covered with ash doesn't necessarily mean that the car was damaged. That means it was dirty. If it caused damage, I'm going to see that in a minute. But first I have to determine if there is any liability on his part.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mr. Harrell, I want you to read to yourself the answer that you filed in this case.
Yes, ma'am, it's accurate.
I want you to direct my attention to the answer, which is lengthy, where you say, I was not firing off any fireworks that evening. Just point to the line. Bird, would you go over to Mr. Harrell, please, so that it'll be easier for me to follow. Mr. Harrell is going to point out to you the line where he says, which would be, of course, the most important thing in his answer, I was not lighting any fireworks that night.
Your Honor, this deposition...
Just point to the line, Mr. Harrell.
It's not here, Your Honor.
That's right. It sure isn't. Thank you, Bird.
Finished.
Yeah, we're finished. Now, Mr. Harrell, common sense would indicate that if you are accused of a crime, the first thing that you say is, I did not do anything. I did not carry the gun. I did not use a knife. I did not light any fireworks. I did not hit the car.
Right, I understand that.
There was no damage. It was just dust.
Your Honor, I have a witness that was present.
Speak not, sir. I'm not interested in your witness because I'm not quite sure that your witness at this time wants to fall into my mouth. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you lie in court, you're supposed to be consistent. Otherwise, you're going to have somebody make a fool out of you.
And later today,
she induced me to accept her to pay these things. She didn't want me to go back to work. She wanted a companion at the time.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail Nelson and her daughter Jennifer claim Kevin Harrow is responsible for ruining their car's paint job. The women say Kevin was shooting off fireworks in the direction of their vehicle.
When somebody is filing an answer where he says not guilty, he's saying not guilty because I didn't do it. Not guilty because there wasn't any damage. Do we understand each other?
Your Honor, that statement notwithstanding, if you do continue to read my statement in regards to the damage and the conversation interaction I had with the plaintiff, as well as the interaction I had with the police officer came over after we had already gone to Miss Nelson's house. There was 5 of us, all carrying flashlights, along with both of the plaintiffs looking at the car. Okay?
We're not at damage, sir. We're at liability.
I understand. Your Honor.
I'm not at the damage part yet, sir.
Understood.
Well, then let's stick to the liability. There are 2 parts to a lawsuit, liability and damage. I don't get to damage until I reach liability. You just skipped right over liability in your answer and went right to damage, which strikes me as being you were liable, but there was no damage. Do we understand each other, Mr. Harrell?
I believe so, Your Honor.
You don't want to just hop in here, do you?
No, ma'am.
Smart girl. Now let me see a picture of the damage to the car, please, and the estimate.
Your Honor, can I see the initial picture that the plaintiff presented to you?
Now, I promised that you could do that, sir, so I'm going to show you that, and I'm also going to show you the police report.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, I'd like to point out one key feature that's missing from this picture, and that would be the fact that at the time of the alleged incident, the car in question was parked directly under this tree, which, as the defendant stated, was in bloom. The damage, so-called damage, was actually droppings from the tree. When we went over, I literally was able to wet my finger and remove it. Miss Nelson, having seen this, said, well, okay, someone needs to come wash my car tomorrow. The host of the party agreed. The following day, she said she changed her mind.
Mr. Harrell, we're not there, sir.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I first have to make a judgment that you were responsible for the fireworks. I believe you were. Now the question is, am I satisfied that the car was damaged? I would like something, them to point out something to me.
Your Honor.
In this paper that they just gave me where it says what's wrong with the car. I'm missing it, and there are 5 pages there, so just find it.
It says that they would have to wet sand and buff the right side of the car, and they would have to polish for the buffing and clean up after the buffing. They gave us the prices of what would have to be done.
So it's really just having your car Simonized and buffed, is that right?
That is correct.
Mr. Harrell, you're much too old to be playing with fireworks, sir. And if you play with fireworks and if you cause damage to somebody's property, even if it's just annoying damage that requires their car to be Simonized, you're supposed to accept responsibility. If you lie in court, you're supposed to be consistent. So if your story is that you didn't have fireworks in your hand, you're supposed to remember that. You're supposed to remember from the time you file your answer to the time you actually testify. Otherwise, you're going to have somebody make a fool out of you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $205. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If she needs money that bad, get off welfare. Get a job. That's what the rest of us do.
I am not on welfare. I am on permanent Social Security disability.
So I hope she enjoys her $200. Maybe she can get her hair done or, you know, slim fast or something. We'll see.
I said, why would you want to pay court costs? This is a very black and white situation. And he said he thought it was frivolous.
Bottom line is, Miss Nelson wants something for nothing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kaufman versus Hollett. Step forward, please.
Former bartender Nikki Kaufman is suing her former friend, 24-year-old cook Timothy Hollett, for trashing her car while he was drunk. Timothy says Nikki is also responsible because she was the one who served him the booze.
All right, I'm going to give you the short version of what I gather happened here. I want you to listen carefully, and unless there is any major discrepancy, we're just going to move on. You work in a bar as a bartender. You know the defendant. He must have been a friend of yours because he came to the bar that evening driving your car. He was in the bar all evening. When the bar closed or when they decided to leave, he got into some difficulty. He went outside, got into your car, and trashed your car. I don't care how he trashed your car. He trashed your car. So far, is that correct, Mr. Hollett?
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Hollett acknowledges that he trashed your car. And he acknowledges he trashed your car because he was drunk. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
His defense is that you, as the bartender, served him too much liquor. And therefore, it is your fault that he got into the car and trashed it. What do you do for a living?
I'm a cook in a 5-star restaurant.
Why would you want to blame somebody else for your stupidity?
I'm not necessarily blaming anybody, Your Honor. I'm just saying I do take responsibility for the actions that I've done.
Perfect!
I'm just saying, though, also I think that my judgment would have been clearer if I was not that intoxicated.
I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Hollett. So a 24-year-old man who works as a chef in a 5-star restaurant should know when they've had their limit.
Sometimes,
You're
yes,
not
Your Honor.
7. What do you mean sometimes?
Sometimes
There's
just
nothing
goes.
genetically wrong with you, is there?
Not that I know of.
Can I see the cost of repair for your car, please, Ms. Kaufman? What kind of car do you have?
A 97 Chevy Malibu.
Have any insurance?
Yes, I do.
What kind of deductible do you have?
500.
Mr. Hollett owes you $500. That's your deductible?
Yes.
That's fair, isn't it, Mr. Hollett?
Sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable to me, too. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
A fight broke out, and it ended up back over in the parking lot where I was working, and my car was damaged.
I'm sorry that this whole thing happened.
He got in my car and was going to try to run people over with it, and he hit a couple of cars with mine.
I proceeded to get into a fight, and we thought it was over with. We went back over to the restaurant she was working at, and it followed us over there. Pretty much the rest is history.
Homemaker Phyllis Sullivan is suing her son-in-law, body shop manager Chip Sims, for illegally repossessing her car. Chip says she wrecked the car twice.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 440 on the calendar in the matter of Sullivan versus Sims. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Sullivan, I assume this is your daughter, is
Yes.
that right? And this is your son-in-law?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, your daughter and son-in-law purchased a car that was for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in
March.
of last year.
Correct.
And the agreement was that you would make a monthly payment that would cover the car payment and insurance.
Correct.
To your daughter and son-in-law.
Correct.
and you would have the car, and when the car was paid off, I assume it would be yours. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You did have the car for a period of time. Then you had an accident with the car in
Correct.
a parking lot, and you called your son-in-law.
Yes.
According to you, you put a note on the car.
Yes.
Did you put the note on the other car, or did your son-in-law?
I put it on the car that I hit, right
Yes.
next to me.
On the note was?
My name, phone number, and that I worked next door at Randall's, and the phone number.
You believe he took the note off the car you
They-
hit?
yes.
Because they never contacted you.
Correct.
And there was damage to that car.
Yes.
You didn't do that, did you, Mr. Sims?
No, ma'am.
And shortly thereafter, Mr. Sims repossessed the car and sold it. You are suing, according to your complaint, for the whole value of the car.
Correct.
Which you're not entitled to. So let's be realistic. Let's say you're suing for the payments that you made on the car. April, May, June, July, and August, if you made the 5 months worth of payments.
Mm-hmm. And I did not miss a payment.
Okay.
I was
And
told...
that's your statement. I did not miss a payment.
And-
That was our agreement, and he had no right to take the car back,
Right.
and therefore I want the payments. How much were your payments each month?
Well, he told me $200 when we signed the original agreement. $200 a month, that included insurance.
How much was the insurance on the car, Mr. Sims?
$62.96.
Mr. Sims, how much did you pay for the car?
I purchased the car for $1,500. I put $600 of the repairs to the car because I purchased it damaged
Okay, and you sold it when?
about 2 weeks ago.
And how much did you sell it for?
$3,200.
And how much did you pay to fix it as a result of the accident that your mother-in-law had?
What she did, she bent the door around to the fender.
Just tell me how much you paid to fix it.
$150, but it didn't fix it correctly. It just made the door open and close. It did not repair the car back to the original condition.
Say nothing. Yet. Say nothing
Okay.
yet.
All right.
So let's say you spent $2,200 on the car.
Correct.
You sold it for $3,200, giving you $1,000 profit, and your mother-in-law gave you $137 a month times 5 equals $685.35. So you got that too.
Correct.
So this is going to take care of your counterclaim, because you're suing her for $660 for miscellaneous damages incurred in relation to the car. That's your counterclaim. That's out, because you had no loss, sir. You have a profit.
All right, I understand.
You have a profit. So you suffered no damage. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Now let's talk about what your mother-in-law wants.
Okay, I need to speak.
Now I'm ready.
He works at a body shop. He didn't pay nothing to have that car fixed.
I don't care whether he did or
Okay.
whether he didn't.
And he
I don't-
raised
that
the
has nothing-
payments.
That has nothing to do with you.
He raised my payments from
To what?
$200 to $230 a month.
When did he
Before
change
I made the first payment, I'm sorry,
Just a second.
April.
Okay,
April
230.
11th. He raised it.
Is that right, sir?
Well,
Is that right or wrong? She has proof. I'm sure she has checks or
here.
whatever. Is that
yeah,
correct?
we agreed on the raise of the payment. It was due to the insurance increase.
So we have 230 less 62.96, 167.04 times 5, $835.20. I'm going to give you 1 minute, Mr. Sims, to explain to me why you don't think that you owe your mother-in-law $835.20.
We had an agreement that she was going to purchase the car, like you said. But also in that agreement, no one was supposed to drive the car. Well, she was letting the other brother-in-law drive the car, which I had a witness see him in the car. Also, she took the car to Chicago against my wishes, taking it out of town. Our original agreement was that the car was mine. I purchased the car, put it in my name, I put the insurance in my name, I registered it in my name, and I told her, here's the car, this is what we're going to do. You pay the car to me each month, and then when the 13 months are over, I'll sign it over to you, do whatever you like. But in the time that you're driving the vehicle, the liability is on me with my insurance and everything covering me. I don't want anyone driving it. Drive it, do your errands, run back and forth to work. But I don't want the car leaving the state. I don't want the car going anywhere. Just keep it here in town.
Mrs. Sims, I read that. I read your defense, sir. However, your problem is you didn't take it back from her then.
Okay, you're right.
You took it back from her when she had an accident in the parking lot.
I didn't take it back from her. What she did, she was letting people drive the car. Then when she damaged the car, then when she damaged the vehicle, she brought the car to me and handed me the keys and wanted me to fix the vehicle. The daughter-in-law got upset with me and mad because I wouldn't file an insurance claim against my own policy to make me pay the increase over the next 3 years. And so they started feuding all over again. That's when I talked with her and I asked her, hey, we need to do something different here. can you go get a loan for the balance due on the car? I can sign the car to you, and we can quit all this fighting and carrying on and be done with it. You can do what you like. She agreed to go get her own loan.
Stop playing with the papers.
Sorry.
She went out, tried 2 or 3 different banks. No one would loan her the money because of her past history and her credit. It's so horrible she couldn't get it. So then she comes to me and says, you know what, I'm going to save the money for 6 weeks. Can you hold the car 6 weeks and I'll pay you in full? 4 weeks go by. She calls my wife and says, I got $20 to my name. I can't pay it. I said, okay, what are we going to do now? She said, well, I'm just going to take you to court and sue you for my interest. I said, well, how about I give you all your money back? I offered to give her every penny she paid, including the insurance. She agreed to that too. Then on Sunday morning, she calls and tells me, no, she don't want to do that either.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know whether or not you took off the note, if there was a note placed on the other car in the parking lot. If you did, that was a foul thing to do.
And later today,
the vet told us there was no way the cat could have broken its leg in 5 places just from tossing off the side. She had to have been pretty much slammed to the ground to have broken it the way it did.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Phyllis Sullivan says son-in-law Chip Sims repossessed her car for absolutely no reason. Chip says Phyllis has been irresponsible with the vehicle.
What you should have done, Miss Sullivan, is take him up on his offer. Because if he was willing to give you all the money that you paid in the car, including the insurance, you should have accepted it. Because from me, you're only going to get the money that you paid on the car itself, less the insurance.
Your Honor.
Yeah, what?
The car, I mean, this was a business contract. I couldn't get a loan because I filed bankruptcy.
Show me the business contract.
Right?
Show me the contract. Show me what it says. Show me the
Can I say
contract.
something? Shh. Nobody drove that car. His so-called character witness has a warrant for his arrest for hitting a police officer.
Would you please stop talking and hand me the contract?
I'm sorry.
You don't have one.
There's the contract. This is my thing from bankruptcy. And
no, listen to me. I asked you for the contract.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you ever have a conversation with your mother about somebody else driving the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. Tell me when.
Less than a month into the deal with the car.
Tell me what the conversation was.
I called her to let her know that we had spoken to a fellow family member who saw someone else driving the car. When I asked her about it, she proceeded to cry and say, I would never do something like that. You told me you didn't want anyone driving the car. I wouldn't do that. I would never hurt you or Chip like that. That's our agreement. I wouldn't let someone drive the car.
Okay. I have to make a determination as to what your damages are, Miss Sullivan.
Okay.
And by the way, Mr. Sims, I don't know whether or not you took off the note, if there was a note placed on the other car in the parking lot. If you did, that was a foul thing to do. Otherwise, I cannot understand why somebody would not have contacted you to have their car fixed. It's not reasonable that if you come out and you see somebody left their name and number and said, I hit your car.
Right.
That they would not contact that person unless the note was taken off the car. In any event, I believe that you're entitled to, based upon this agreement, you're entitled to your money back, because this agreement says that if at any time I default upon my payments, Ronald has the right to take the car back, and I will forfeit any payments already made. She never defaulted on her payments, so you had no right to take her car back.
I didn't take the car back. She brought the car to me.
I don't believe that's true. And I believe that you made a profit. Just shit, quiet. I believe that you made a profit on the car. You don't have to make a really handsome profit. So instead of making $1,838, you're only going to make $1,000 worth of profit.
Because she'd already filed this suit once, which I had to hire an attorney to fight her the first time, that she never showed up to court.
I don't have that. Listen to me, Mr. Sims. Mr. Sims.
I've got the original court date and a dismissal from it.
Pay careful attention to me, sir.
Yes,
I don't have that as part of a counterclaim.
Right.
In any event, what I'm telling you is, you have the right, if you sold the car, you made a profit. Your profit was in excess of $1,000.
Well, I kept the car for 5 months waiting to solve this case, waiting to go to court, which we had our court date. She didn't appear.
What difference does it make, sir? What difference does it make as far as the profit that you made?
Right, exactly.
She put in $835.20. That's less the insurance over a 5-month period, and she's entitled to get it back under your contract. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just want them out of my life. I just want to go on about my own life and let her live her life, let me live mine.
He couldn't claim it on his insurance because he's got too many other insurance claims going on.
This isn't the first time in my life my mother's disappointed me.
My son-in-law, Chip, told me that I'm putting the stake in the family.
We warned her before she filed this suit to let her know she would never see me and she would never see her grandson again. She continued to do it, and I'm going to stand by my word.
I'm very hurt. I'm going to miss my daughter and my grandson.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Olshansky versus Longo. Step forward, please.
Administrative Assistant Elaine Olshansky is suing former friend, 23-year-old interior decorator Jason Longo, for a refund of his fee and for damage to her home. Jason is countersuing for the unpaid portion of his fee.
Ms. Olshansky, you hired the defendant to do some painting in your house.
Correct.
And paid him some $2,200. It's your claim that he did a lousy job. You want your money back, and not only do you want your money back, you want him to pay you to have some of the work that he did treated by somebody else. So you're suing him for even more than what you paid him for. Mr. Longo said that he did a fine job, that you're angry about something else, and he was a friend of one of your children's. Is that right? That's how you knew him?
Correct.
Had he had experience in the painting and decorating business?
I was told he did.
How much work was he supposed to do?
He was supposed to do my dining room, and then we agreed verbally that he would do some extra painting.
Tell me what he was supposed to do, Miss Olshansky. Not just your dining room for $2,200. Come on.
What he did is he painted the dining room, and he painted the trim in the living room, and he had my son help him with...
What other rooms did he paint?
The living room and the hallway. And upstairs in our bathroom, he painted the bathroom vanity.
What work did you do in her house?
Our original agreement was to work on the dining room, which is where I started. As I was working on the dining room...
Okay, what were you supposed to do in the dining room?
The dining room, we were trying to remake the whole thing. She had gorgeous furniture to begin with. We were just removing the wallpaper that was existing.
Okay, so let's start that. You were removing wallpaper.
Yes.
What's next?
We decided on a color scheme for the dining room and a finish that we wanted to do in the lower half. Basically planned out the lighting fixture that we wanted and the colors that were going to be in the room, especially the lower half. We decided to do a faux finish and put a chair rail in the center.
Just a second. Now, then you did a living room trim.
Yes, I did, at no charge.
And hall.
I did the crown molding in the hall.
And what about the vanity upstairs?
The vanity was part of our original agreement to do with the dining room. When she approached me about the dining room, she also said she was remodeling both bathrooms upstairs, and she had asked me what we could do with the vanity, and it was a wood, but because of the heat steam damage, it was kind of tarnished, so we decided to paint it, and we used a metallic paint to mimic the border tile that was upstairs.
Your Honor, it wasn't damaged. My upstairs vanity was not damaged. It was in perfect finish because he didn't prime that either. He just painted right over it very nicely.
Yes, and your original agreement was $2,200, is that right?
Yes. The work also included, though, the solarium room in the back of the house, which what happened was we started doing work in the dining room, and then as I was working in the dining room, Mrs. Olshansky purchased furniture for, I believe it was the living room, but decided that it wasn't going to work out, so we decided to redo their solarium area in the back. That was also included in the price that she paid me, and that was mainly interior decorating. There was no painting done out there. It was just making it into like kind of like a cluttered area, into like a nice sitting room with new furniture, accessories, and
So what
such.
did you do in that area?
No painting was done, just accessorizing, purchasing accessories.
That's what you did?
That's correct.
Okay. So that sounds like a reasonable amount of money, $2,200. So what are you complaining about?
The paint is all peeling
Let me
everywhere
see.
he painted. I have many pictures.
Let me see where it's peeling.
Your Honor, I also have pictures of the before work and the during stage process work. I was not allowed to photograph the after work. The plaintiff did not allow me back into her home to do so.
You never asked.
Shh. This is an outside picture, is that right?
No, it isn't. That's the
That's
back
the
porch.
solarium.
Those are the wires hanging where he did wiring, and it caught on fire because he only used electrical tape and wired 3 wires together, and it caught on fire.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Yes, it is, Your Honor. It's true.
Your Honor, I have a degree in fire protection technology, and I've been in school and been with the fire service for 6 years. It's not true.
Who did the wiring,
Okay.
Jason?
You have a fire marshal's report?
No. We just
Okay.
unplugged it and put the fire out.
I have no idea where you say the paint is peeling. You show me in those at the blow-ups.
Your Honor,
These
would
are
you like
there.
to see my pictures?
Yeah. I find it very hard to look at these blow-ups, so don't show me your... Don't you have regular pictures?
I use a digital camera, so I have to print them out. The
Well-
first set of pictures starts with the dining room before. Your Honor, her son also helped me paint. I'd like to see the pictures to make sure that's my work.
Absolutely. Well, whether it's your work or her son's work, it doesn't make any difference. You were the contractor.
Your Honor, I also have estimates.
For what?
To repair the damage that was done.
I'm not going to give you any amount of money to repair damage. I've seen the photographs. If you're not satisfied with the job that he did, I suggest you not give him any recommendation.
The pictures show peeling paint. It's latex painted over oil base, which peels like rubber.
Ma'am, this is the letter from the company that I used.
Put it down. Where was the paint peeling? In what room?
Every room, at every spot, it peels off because it's latex over oil. I have.
What do you mean every room and every spot? I've seen. Look, listen to me.
All the trim
I saw
just the trim. Just the trim is painted latex over oil. And I asked him, I questioned him. I said, I don't believe that you can put latex over oil. And he said, you can as long as you prepare properly.
Your Honor, that was her initial concern, and I did acknowledge that that was an issue that we had to take into account. However, I knew that you could paint latex over oil paint. The dining room was sanded down. The other rooms I cannot account for because I came in midway through the whole situation.
Which other rooms?
The dining room was the only room I personally painted myself completely.
No, you painted all of the trim in the living room, and you had Peter, without charge, help you get through painting
right, and I was
hallway.
also without charge helping the hallway and the living room.
You know, charges...
Just a second. Is that true? That your original estimate was for the dining room and the...
Upstairs
vanity.
Correct.
And the other
and the
trim that he did either helping you out with your son or whoever else was helping him out. Was it your son who was helping him?
Yes.
And that was as a favor?
No, the work wasn't as a favor.
That's a lie.
He agreed to paint in those rooms also.
That is not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If you're not satisfied, don't give him a recommendation, Miss Olshansky.
Your Honor, what happened was...
What? Listen to me. You're not losing.
I understand.
You had some sort of a falling out that involves a social issue, which you seem to suggest here, involving her son, that has absolutely nothing to do with me, that has nothing to do with this case. Ms. Olshansky is complaining about a subjective look at work, which she says is below par. And I'm saying, based on what I see, the rooms, as painted, look just fine to me.
It's just the trim, not the wall.
Well, then get somebody to fix the trim. And what are you suing him for $3,000 for, which is more than even you paid him?
That's what the estimates are.
Get your son to do it. Strip down the trim if you're not happy with it and repaint it in either latex or flat or whatever color you like.
Your Honor, may I say something?
You had practically your whole house done. Don't say anything. You're not losing. What's your problem?
I just want to let her know she had complained about the amount that I had charged her, and she was saying that I basically owed her to do the rest of the rooms and that I owed her to do the repairs based off the amount that that I charged her for. And I have I have documents that show that she has discounts in excess of $2,500 that I had given her because she was a friend of mine. So if she's saying that I overcharged her, it's completely untrue.
Excuse me, just a second. She's not complaining you overcharged her, sir.
She's complaining.
She's not complaining that you overcharged her. She knows that for the amount of work she had done in her house, she was getting a bargain. She knows that. Her problem is the bargain turned out to be not such a bargain because she wasn't happy with some of the trim work that was done. For that, you don't sue. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I offered to make repairs in Mrs. Olshansky's home, but she denied me the right to come back into her home before the date that she had set.
In person, my home is a shambles.
As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing else I could have done.
We never will have him work in our home again, and he's not welcome.
Child beauty pageant director Gladys Sirakowski is suing homemaker Victoria Doe for unpaid pageant fees. Victoria says the contest was rigged.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, on the case number 336 on the calendar in the matter of Sirakowski versus Doe. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Sirakowski, you were running some sort of a baby contest or baby pageant.
Yes.
And the defendant entered her baby. She wrote out a check. Her baby entered the contest. Her baby didn't win. She stopped payment on the check. You want your money, right?
Yes, I do.
The defendant says that the contest was rigged, so she stopped payment on the check. Tell me about this pageant.
All right, Your Honor, this whole case is about this lady who has a major...
Shh. Pay attention to my question. Then we'll get along just fine. I said, tell me about the pageant, I'll figure out what this lady has or has not.
All right. It is a national pageant system. We did have a baby contest in it. Her baby did participate.
Where is this pageant or contest held?
It was held in Springfield, Illinois.
How many babies were entered?
There were 9 babies all told, 5 in her age division.
So tell me how it works. You advertised and you said there's going to be a baby contest. These are the age categories. And it says that you have to send in a fee for the contest?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and how much is that fee?
The deposit was $150. She pays the remainder of any fees when she reaches the pageant.
Now, what happens if they win this contest in Springfield?
If they win the contest, they win money.
How much?
She could have won a $500 bond. Actually, she could have won a $2,000 bond as an overall winner.
Overall winner
of one baby of the 2 age divisions.
Okay, so she sent in her $150.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And then you travel to Springfield.
Correct.
And how much then does she have to pay once she gets to Springfield?
Depending on the events that she entered would decide how much more that she did owe.
What do you mean? I thought she just entered one baby contest.
There's several different categories.
Like what?
Photogenic, there is playwear, there is sleepwear, there are the prettiest eyes, hair, fashion.
And what do you win if you win the prettiest pajamas?
You can win a plaque, a laser engraved plaque.
A plaque?
Yes.
And each time she enters one of these little contests for the baby who looks nicest in their pajamas, there's an additional fee. Is that what you're telling me?
There is a fee for each thing that you do, yes, ma'am.
Sounds like a good business to me. And how many babies, for instance, entered in that contest if you have there the best looking baby in pajamas?
They all entered.
All 9 of them?
Yes.
And how much was the cost of each one of them entering that?
Well, it was $35 per category for that.
And how many of these little categories, eyes, pajamas, playwear, how many of those are there?
There are 5 for the babies.
And for that they get a plaque or a certificate if they win each one?
They could get a trophy.
Or a trophy.
The people who win money, crowns, and banners, and the big trophies are the queens.
I'm just talking about the things other than cash. So this is for you a business?
Absolutely, it's a business.
We're not talking about the baby who wins this contest gets to do some sort of a pilot for a movie. This is just pure ego on the part of parents. Is that right?
I would say so, yes.
Absolutely. It's just pure ego. Okay, Miss Joe, now I'll hear you.
Okay, we did do the pageant. My daughter was offered the prizes of the state queens, the savings bond that originated from her state pageant that I attended in Michigan. That's the only reason we attended her nationals, to receive the savings bond. We went to nationals, we did the pageant, everything was fine, except for she didn't have the savings bond. She said she would overnight it to me. So I started on my way home when I started looking over Lily's scores, which were amazing. So I called the hotel.
Just one second. So you tell me she owes you a savings bond?
Correct.
Do you owe her a savings bond from a previous pageant?
No, ma'am, I don't owe her a savings bond. She did receive the savings bond. And, in fact, I didn't owe her the bond. The Michigan director did. She overnighted the bond to me. I told Miss Doe the day of the crowning it hadn't arrived yet, but it was coming, and I would send it to her.
Did you send the bond?
Yes, ma'am, I sent the bond.
Well, I assume then you have the number of the bond, that you can trace it. Now, how much was the bond for?
$100, Your Honor.
It's a $100 bond. We're not talking about a lot of money. But if you didn't send the bond to her, and you were supposed to, that you have to do. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Good. Perfect. I don't want to see anything.
This is the letter she received with the bond, and it tells about the bond. So if she didn't get the bond, why didn't she speak up? I got this letter, but I didn't get the bond with it?
That's what she says.
She's lying.
That's what she
Please read
says.
that.
That's what she says. If she did not get the bond, she has to get the bond. All right, but let's go on with why you didn't pay the rest of these fees.
I proceeded on my way home. I didn't check the scores. I just figured, okay, my daughter placed 4th. She's done that before. She's had her wins. She's had her losses.
How many contests have you entered with them?
Beauty pageants, I've done maybe about a dozen of them.
Why?
They have prizes up to $10,000 savings bonds. It's always worth a shot. But anyways, I started checking the scores on the way home. My daughter has amazing scores, 9.8, 9.9. For instance, sleepwear, she got 2 9.8s and a 9.9. Possible 30 points, she got, what would that be, 29.5. I've consulted with 2 other directors who said it's not physically possible for babies scored higher than a 29.5 out of 30 possible. Judges don't give straight 10s and straight 9.9s. I called her on the way home twice. Once she was in the pageant still, once I left a voicemail. She didn't return them. I contacted the state director, who said to try contacting the parents. Maybe the parents will tell me the daughter's scores.
That's not true.
Well,
Don't speak.
I heard from two parents. One,
listen to me.
Okay.
Don't give me hearsay.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, I tried emailing her twice when I didn't receive the bond. Didn't get any results. So I filed a complaint with PayPal, the one I paid her through. They tried contacting her. She ignored them also and refunded my money because they couldn't reach her. They gave her 10 days to respond to the notice.
Okay, just 1 second. Just 1 second. PayPal. What's PayPal?
It's an online computer where you can pay them through your debit, credit.
They didn't have anything to do with the bond. You told PayPal that you didn't receive merchandise.
That would be the savings bond.
You wasn't
No, is
supposed
that-
to receive any,
just a
receive any
second.
merchandise from me.
Don't speak to her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you have nothing better to do with your time than to take her around to show off her beauty, then what you're telling them from a very early age is that they are judged by the way they look, which is a very stupid thing to do.
And later today,
James had made threats to us and
That's
to
not
our
true,
home.
I don't want to
When
hear you
everything
first.
turned violent, we had to have him escorted off the property twice.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Child Beauty Pageant Director Gladys Sirakowski says Victoria Doe owes for the entrance fee for her daughter. Victoria says she stopped payment because the pageant was rigged.
Still, the reason that you stopped payment was not because of this bond that you say you
There were
didn't
two reasons,
receive,
'cause she wouldn't return
that you
my calls
say you
about the
didn't
scoring.
receive. The problem was you thought your daughter should have won the contest. As a matter of fact,
Not
when you
one,
talk,
place somewhere higher. Yes, I do. Two other judges or directors agreed.
They weren't there.
There were 5 babies in the
listen
division.
to me. Don't speak to her. How many times do I have to explain to you not to speak to her? You say in your answer that you believe the pageant was rigged. That's why you didn't pay her. It had nothing to do with the bond.
That's not true.
Well,
I
that's
had
what you
2
say in your
reasons.
answer, madam. And that's the only reason that this PayPal would not pay. If you had said to them, I entered my daughter in a contest and I think the contest was rigged and I want to stop paying, they would say, that's not a reason to stop. Listen, Ms. Doe, you want to schlep your daughter from one state to another to be in beauty pageants. That's totally up to you. I cannot discourage you from doing that. Sometimes she's going to win, sometimes she's not going to win. Sometimes somebody's going to be a favorite, and sometimes the whole thing is going to be a sham. If you have nothing better to do with your time than to take her around to show off her beauty, that's a very sad. How old is she?
2.
I would say at 2 you should be sitting home reading books to her, not schlepping her around from one beauty pageant to another. If you don't understand by now that this lady is in business to make money.
I understand that, Your Honor, but it's
Just a
also her job to
Listen to me.
consult with parents.
Listen to no, it
You
isn't.
can't take their money and
No,
blow
it
them up.
isn't. You got to pay the money. You don't like this contest? Don't enter it again. You think without witnesses I'm going to find that this contest was rigged? It's not going to happen. I want to tell you something. Very, very good expression. Beauty fades, dumb is forever. What you're supposed to do if you have a daughter is to try to teach her that her mind is more important than her face. And I know that this isn't very good for the plaintiff's business, but if everybody out there would try to understand that what's in here is much more important long term than what's here, and that usually children do not thrive from being schlepped from one place to another and primped and made up, dressed up, because then what you're telling them from a very early age is that they are judged by the way they look, which is a very stupid thing to do. Stupidity here does not get rewarded. She's entitled to her money, $321. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very happy to be getting the money back that's owed to me.
If they weren't going to award my daughter properly, then I deserve the refund.
But I'm not happy with the picture painted of pageants and my business.
Everybody has their own opinions.
She's got a big case of sour grapes.
Deli worker Glenette Kitt is suing her neighbor, auditor Tanya Gatson, for having her falsely arrested 4 times. Tanya is countersuing, claiming Glenette vandalized her car.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Shh. Your Honor, this is case number 328 on the calendar in the matter of Kitt versus Gadsden. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Kitt, do you have family?
Yes.
Tell me about your family. How many are in your family?
I have 6 and custody of one other, so that makes 7.
Is there a Mr. Kit?
My son and my nephew.
Other than that?
No.
So you have no husband?
Right.
Ms. Gadsden, you want to tell me how many people are in your family?
I live alone right now. I have 3 children. My oldest is living in Atlanta with her father. My young 2 smaller children are with their grandmother. I'm in the midst of a custody hearing. Actually, I have a court date on November 22nd.
Have those children ever lived with you in the past year?
They left about exactly a year ago.
You 2 ladies are neighbors. Each of you has a complaint against the other, suing the other for $5,000. The complaint is really grounded in various forms of harassment. You claim, Ms. Kitt, that the defendant had you falsely arrested on 4 separate occasions, and that she has made numerous phone calls about you to Child Protective Services, alleging that the children who are in your care are out unsupervised. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Gadsden says that you're making her life a holy hell, and she is counterclaiming. So why don't you, Ms. Kitt, first tell me how long you've been living in the house that you currently occupy?
I moved there exactly January 1st of year 2000.
And how long, Ms. Gadsden, have you been living there?
I moved there 94. I've been there 5 years.
So you've been there a long time?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you, in a couple of minutes, Ms. Kitt, tell me all about your case against Ms. Gadsden?
Well, about a week after moving there, my children were outside playing. It was right after Christmas. We had just moved there. I walked to the door, and Ms. Gadsden had a limousine come and pick her friend up. My kids, they admired it. They went outside to see, you know, run and play and look at it. When I seen them approach Ms. Gadsden's side of the street, they was like, wow. So Ms. Gadsden came out and said, y'all, MF's children are not used to seeing things like this. Get the hell away from my yard. So I walked over to her side of the street. I said, ma'am, I don't know you, but these are my children. Don't speak to them in that tone of manner. So I went on in the house, went to work maybe 2 days later. My kid's babysitter lives directly next door to Miss Gadsden. I brought you a picture.
She lives next door.
And I went to open the door to get my kids. Miss Gadsden opened her door and said, B.I., hopped and spit in my face. And it was, I just can't explain, but I knew I was going to get her. And I did. The same day, I hit her. I popped her in her mouth. Not even a year later, maybe about in April, I kept getting police calls and at my house at work. I come home one day, the social services was there. She told me that she had had complaints 1 week after another concerning my kids being unsupervised. So I took her to where my kids were at a babysitter, which was next door to Miss Gadsden. And they found no foundings. After they did all this, and I guess she couldn't have me locked up anymore, she started with having me arrested on false charges. I had to be bailed out of jail over and over and over again. Up until this day, I'm still being arrested.
Arrested?
Yes, arrested.
You have the police reports?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them, please?
I have some copies of those and the charges that were all dismissed.
How many times did you have her arrested for damaging your car?
2 times, ma'am.
Did you see her damage your car?
Yes, ma'am.
How come the charges were dismissed?
The photos that I'd asked a friend to drop off for me at Walmart, they did not get same day, development. They had 4 days. And when I went to court the next day, I had to wait until the day after court to get the photos. So the judge dismissed it because I didn't have proof, which made me very upset with my friend, of
Your
course.
Honor. You think I believe that story? I don't believe that story for a minute. Let's go back a minute, Miss Gadsden. You have 2 young children. How old are your children?
6 and 8 years old.
The children were removed by social services? Yes.
They were not removed from me. They were placed with their father temporarily.
They were placed with their father by social services.
Okay. They were actually picked up. My oldest daughter was home with the children, and she walked out. She was, in a sense, envious of her 2 younger sisters. She thought that we had a closer relationship than she did. She'd come here from Georgia with her father, and she walked out and called the police and left the 2 children there. The police then took the children to my licensed daycare provider.
Miss Gadsden.
And then from there.
Is what you're telling me that you had a misunderstanding with your older daughter, and because there was a misunderstanding with her, she was jealous of the two younger children. She left them alone, and because of that, social services placed your two children with their father.
Right.
And they'd been with their father for over a year because of that?
No, ma'am. After placing them with him, well, they went immediately from my house to the licensed daycare provider that I had. From there, the father picked them up, and they allowed him to have temporary custody until I completed whatever needed to be done through the Division of Social Services.
But Ms. Gadsden, there's a major piece there that you're not telling me, and
Yes,
I want
ma'am.
you to tell you, I was in family court for 25 years. I don't know if it's substance abuse involved.
No, none.
I don't know if there were prior incidents of leaving the children alone.
No,
I'm not sure. I don't know. But I know that if what the original story that you told me was that this was a misunderstanding with your older daughter, that your two younger children would have been back in a blink. It was not that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you ever been arrested for anything?
Yes, assault and battery.
What else?
Forgery.
After 92.
Petty larceny. I don't remember the years, but I know charges.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lynette Kitt says neighbor Tanya Gadsden has had her falsely arrested on 4 separate occasions. Tanya says Lynette hangs out with drug dealers.
Yeah. So now I hear a whole bunch of false arrests and a whole bunch of stuff that you've been aggravating her. Now let me hear how she's aggravated you.
If I may begin with, there are other people living in her house, and they are individuals that aren't on leases there. They reach in their socks and they give her things that she pays for at the door, and I have witnesses that have written statements, and I've kind of highlighted where the drugs are in our neighborhood, and there's definitely drug trafficking going on in that vicinity. My last day coming home to my home,
Put that down.
I watched an individual walk up to Mrs. Kitt's window. There is an individual, I would not like to call his name, that is banned from our neighborhood, that was known to be shooting in our neighborhood. I've made several police calls about, that is in Mrs. Kitt's home now. Mrs. Kitt, from 7 in the morning to about 2, 3 in the morning, it's like a blowhorn from across the street to the street behind my street to a lady by the name of Renee that she's now pulled a knife on and had Renee removed from the neighborhood. Renee pulled a baseball bat in return. On July, the 12th day, I rented that limousine for my friend, not in September. There were children from the neighborhood, yes, but they weren't Miss Kitt's children. It was Mrs. Kitt that, as I said, excuse me, coming down from my front grass, the kids were all looking, and yes, and I brought my friend outside as a surprise because he'd done a very kind thing for me. And I said, excuse me, please. And she replied with vulgar language, and I was really torn up that I had to be assaulted to do something nice for a friend by this lady across the street. I have, Your Honor, I don't know how else to say, just had about 7 court dates with Miss Kitt.
Just a second. Miss Kitt, would you tell me how many children who live in your home are your biological children?
4 of them are, Your Honor.
I'm confused. 5 or 4?
Well, I count my nephew. I have custody of him. But biologically, 4 of mine live there.
Okay. What other children live in your house?
None other, and no one else, Your Honor.
Have you ever been arrested for drug sales?
No, ma'am.
Other than the arrests that were caused by complaints by Miss Gadsden, have you ever been arrested for anything?
Yes, assault and battery.
When?
2 years this year.
Who was the complainant in that case?
Another young lady.
From the neighborhood?
Yes.
And what was the result of that case?
Dismissed.
Did she allege that you assaulted her?
Yes. Yes,
and
she did.
Did you allege that you were the victim and that she assaulted you?
I said I didn't do it.
You said you just didn't do it?
I didn't do it.
Did you go to trial?
Yes, I did.
And you were acquitted after trial?
Yes.
And that's the only arrest you had anywhere?
Oh, no, ma'am. I have some, like 10 years ago.
For
12
what?
years ago.
What else?
Driving.
Other than driving?
Forgery.
What year?
92.
After 92?
94.
For what?
No, 96 was driving.
Between 92 and 96?
Petty larceny. I don't remember the years, but I know charges.
When was the last time you were incarcerated? Think carefully.
96.
How long?
45 days.
Is that on a plea or a conviction?
Conviction.
Who watched your children
The fathers, two of them were in DCS because the fathers were Navy.
Now, Ms. Gatson, I'm going to ask you the same question. Other than instances involving Miss Kitt, have you ever been arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the last time you were arrested?
This was dated on, if maybe the deputy could help me.
No, just tell me. It had nothing to do with Miss Kitt.
Indirectly, yes, ma'am. This was a summons that was for my children's father and I for court, and Miss Kitt thought this was a summons for her and I in court, and I have a witness here that watched her take the summons off my door.
Other than anything having to do with Miss Kitt, have you ever been arrested?
This is a failure to appear.
Listen to me very carefully, Ms. Gatson. Other than any instance that even tangentially involves Miss Kitt, have you ever been arrested?
I don't think so.
Don't give me I don't think so.
In my home, prior to 2000.
In your home, out of your home, in the theater, in a restaurant, in the street. Have you ever been arrested in
when
a
this
car?
individual came to my door,
Just answer yes or no.
Yes.
You have been arrested.
The officer accidentally arrested me, and he was the one that had assaulted me.
Okay, fine. Other than that instance, madam, other than that instance, prior to 2000, have you ever been arrested?
Prior to 2000?
Yeah.
I was not arrested. I turned myself in after I found that the children's father's girlfriend filed a warrant against me in the city of Chesapeake, a counter warrant, and actually the incident occurred in the city of Norfolk.
I want you ladies to listen to me very, very carefully. Are you involved in a custody dispute now with the father of your children?
No, ma'am. He is not participating in any with what social services has required. I've completed all of those things.
Oh, he's not giving you back the kids so fast.
He doesn't have the children, ma'am.
Where are they?
His mother and sister have the children around the corner from my house. I asked them to get them out of foster care because they were taken from him because he had no place to stay.
Okay, you have an older daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And two younger ones. You just told me 2 minutes ago that the two younger children were with their father. Did I hear that right? Did you hear that?
Let her explain.
Okay.
You just told me that they weren't removed, that they weren't in foster care, that they were with their father. I said that the state take your children. You told me no.
No, I apologize.
Please, give me a break. Listen, you two ladies deserve each other. I would suggest the following to you. Listen to me very carefully. If you're going to live next door to each other, I suggest you have nothing to do with each other. Other than that, I don't want to be bothered with you. Goodbye.
These are excused. You may step out.
Envy. There's a lady that's on the porch on a chair all night long.
She never lets up. She let the judicial system keep me down, but it's not going to keep me down.
The young lady wanted a lot of attention.
I just know it'll never be over.
I think I've been getting all the attention in the neighborhood.
I'm a good friend. I would give her a glass of water. She needed it off the street.
I've got limousines, Lexuses, SC Lexuses, all sorts of nice things coming through and nice people coming to visit.
She's a serial neighbor.
Evening gown, dates, tuxedos, and she has nothing.
She spit in my face.
I opened my door, heard her on the porch at the neighbor's house, reached over to check my mail, and someone stepped up and did that.
Something is wrong. Definitely wrong.
I'm moving. You'll never see me again.
She needs a straight jacket.
I'm gone, Mrs. Kitt.
I'm gonna keep praying.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Little versus Whitlock Whitehead. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Crystal Biddle and her mother Gail are suing schoolteacher Darlene Whitlock and her brother, 25-year-old student Dale Whitehead, for the value of a totaled car.
What's your first name?
Crystal.
Crystal. Is this your mom?
Yes.
And yours?
Darlene.
I'm Dale.
According to your complaint, you had cars in school. You were in school and you were in school. Is that right?
Correct.
And you had one car, you had another car, your cars were parked next to each other in a parking lot. Is that right?
Yes.
Your car, without any indication of any fault on your part, you weren't even there, caught fire and was destroyed.
Correct.
Your car was next to his car and was also destroyed.
Yes.
You want them, you're the owner of the car,
Yes, ma'am.
to pay the cost of a new car or a replacement car.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Go ahead.
Well, I should not be tormented for somebody's car who had electrical problems shoot into my car and start on fire. It's not fair to me.
How do we know that the car had electrical problems?
In the report it says...
Can I see the
yes.
report, please? Let's see what it says. So there were several cars involved in this, and it's clear that, according to the fire report, it says the Ford van was the vehicle that the fire started in the electrical wiring.
Yes.
So why don't you sue Ford? What are you suing him for?
He's the one who owned the car.
Would it be my fault?
Why didn't you have insurance on your car?
I had liability insurance.
Yeah, but you don't have collision, you don't have damage.
That's just...
This is, look, I'm trying to think of an example to give you that would probably make it more palatable to you. When there is a fault, you target the person who's at fault, person or entity that's at fault, if they cause you injury or damage, right?
Yes.
He was not at fault. He didn't create this car. There is no indication that he was aware or the owner of the car was aware that there were electrical problems with the car. So certainly they're not at fault. Now, are they absolutely liable for anything that happens as a result of their car? No. Not at all. What happens if they're driving along the street and a boulder hits their car and their car swerves and hits into your car? Certainly not their fault, because they didn't do anything that was negligent. So what you have to do is you have to have collision if you want to be fully protected, or else go after the people who made the car. If there was faulty electrical wiring, isn't that what you were told?
No.
Well, what were you told?
We were just told to file a claim against the owner and the driver of the vehicle.
For what?
Well, the vehicle was smashed in the front end of the vehicle, and the insurance company that he had didn't even send anyone out to look at their car to see if there was any evidence of any
This
problem.
is the fire department report. Fire department report says that it was an electrical fire.
Right. Well, what we were saying is that we believe that there probably were problems with the van that they were aware of.
Show me. Just a minute. Then if what you're saying to me, Ms. Biddle, is accurate, that they had knowledge that there was something wrong with their car, and yet drove it and thereby placed other cars at risk, then they would be responsible. I agree with you. Show me, give me proof, that they knew or should have known that there was something wrong with their car that could cause a fire, and then you get whatever you want. Do you have any proof?
If anybody would have walked past that van, anybody would have known that there was problems with that van. It was rusted up, it was very old, and it didn't like it was taken care of very well. So,
that doesn't mean, listen to me, Miss Biddle, that means that the car will one day be driving along the road and stop running. That doesn't mean that it's going to explode in a fire. Miss Biddle, you need proof. Expert proof that, for instance, the car was in an accident. They were advised by a mechanic that unless it was fixed, the car could, by spontaneous combustion, start on fire. Because otherwise there are lots of scenarios that are possible. It's also possible that somebody lit a match, opened the hood, threw it in the car, and caught on an electrical wire, and that's what they saw. They saw the electrical wires burned, that somebody else did that. Do you think that they would be responsible if somebody passed their car and, as a prank, took a match and threw it in the gas tank and the car exploded and your car was damaged? Do you think they'd be responsible?
No.
Why? Just a minute. Why not?
Well, I mean, it was somebody else could have, done it just to get him in trouble, but...
Someone else could have done something to destroy his car. It's not different. It's not different. You have to show a fault, that somehow these people knew that they were driving around in a dangerous vehicle that could cause damage to somebody else's property. And you don't have that proof, so you have no case. So next time you want to be fully protected, get collision. Case dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think that everybody has a choice to carry liability or comprehensive insurance.
I don't think it was the right decision.
We had had the van for quite some time and we had never had any problems like this before.
I don't feel that I should have to pay for somebody else's problems.
You never really know what can happen.
I was in class and somebody came, the president of SDC came out and told me that somebody had caught my car on fire.
My brother came home and he said to me that there had been a vehicle fire.
I saw smoke coming out of the rear end of my car.
And I went out and looked at the college and I was absolutely amazed.
The tires were exploded.
The front end of my car was melted. The bumper was just about gone.
The windows were exploded.
There was no dashboard. Everything was black from the first part over.
There was basically no back end of my car left.
It was just absolutely amazing to me that a fire could cause that type of damage.
I say I didn't cause it. It was an act of God.
School teacher Kendra Pickering is suing her ex-boyfriend, fireman Charles Cannon, for the cost to attend a football game with the guys. Kendra says instead of paying her back, he went on another excursion with the guys.
Order. All rise. This is case number 321 on the calendar in the matter of Pickering versus Cannon.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Bert, would you do me a favor, please? You know that pesky fly that we had around here a couple of months ago?
Yep.
Well, he's been resurrected. So could you get me one of those little things that you got me before this?
No problem.
Thank you very much. And Miss Pickering and Mr. Cannon look like two well-behaved people, so I can manage without you for a minute.
Be right back.
Thank you. Miss Pickering, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were in a relationship and you made a loan to him. It was a loan so that he could take a trip, some sort of a bus trip, a sports trip with some other men. And you want the money back because the relationship is over.
Yes.
Mr. Cannon says that there was never a loan, that this was sort of a quid pro quo because he had arranged for refinancing on your house at some point. I know you're smiling. We'll get to it.
Okay.
He had arranged for refinancing on your house, saved you a whole bunch of money, and you agreed that he would be paid by you financing this trip. That's your defense.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Yeah.
I know it was on the lip. Anyway, thank you. So, Ms. Pickering, were you and the defendant living together?
No, Your Honor, we were not. We were dating.
Objection.
Listen to me. Listen. Don't interrupt her. Do you understand? You will have an opportunity to speak when she's finished.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
When I divorced my husband and moved back to South Carolina, Mr. Cannon was one of the people contracted to move my furniture back to South Carolina from Georgia. I was reintroduced to him at that time. We went to middle school together. Immediately after I returned, we began dating. But
never lived together?
Never lived together, but he spent most of the time with me. It was very, we talked about getting married. He talked about how it was destiny for us to be together.
Don't frustrate me.
Yes, ma'am. I was just saying, let's get to
No.
Yes.
When I look at your direction and ask you a question, you're going to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that, you're not going to speak.
Okay.
So when I said you didn't live together, the answer was we didn't live together, we dated.
We dated.
Fine. Tell me about this loan that you made to him, when that was, because there were two parts of the loan.
Exactly. Mr. Cannon and I had been supportive of each other, making small loans back and forth financially to help each other out when needed during the time that we dated. This particular occasion, in October, he sponsored a trip for
October
the guys.
of what year?
October of 2001. He sponsored a trip to a Falcons football game in Atlanta. At some point, he did not have the money to pay for the tickets. So he asked me if he could borrow the money.
How much money did he need?
It was $960 for the tickets. Although we had exchanged money before loaning process, I felt very uncomfortable with this amount.
Well, had the previous loans been smaller loans?
They had been much smaller, $50, $100, $150. So, and it had been repaid. Because I felt uncomfortable, I wrote the check to the travel agency.
Can I see that, please?
I would not write it to him, nor would I give him cash. I was under the assumption that when the guys boarded the bus, that they would pay the remaining balance. When they returned from the trip, I heard of how wonderful it was.
When was the trip?
The trip was in November.
Okay.
I heard of how wonderful it was and received a magnet, but not my money.
Okay.
At that point, I did not question him about it. I was hoping that he would do the right thing because, once again, this is someone I wanted to marry. Later on, in the 11th November, he also borrowed money again and again in December.
Well, what did he borrow money in November for?
I was under the impression that it was Christmas gifts. During this time, I've been throwing hints that I wanted an engagement ring. I'm hoping that this was for that purpose.
So you were giving him money hoping that he would buy you a ring?
I was giving him money hoping that it would help him purchase the Christmas gifts for his children and then have extra to do what I wanted him to do.
How much did you give him in November?
In November, I gave him a check of $135, and I clearly marked on there that it was a loan. And in December, I also gave a check of $50. And I marked that that was a loan as well.
Miss Pickering, he hadn't paid you back the October money yet. Why are you giving him more money?
At that time, we were talking about moving in together. I was, lack of a better judgment, I was a fool for love.
Right. Okay. I'm not interested in these two little loans. I'm not interested in that because that comes under the category of stupidity. If you lend somebody almost $1,000 and they don't pay you back when they get off the bus, and you lend them another $50 and another $135, then you're not too smart.
But once again, Your Honor, he was promising me the whole time, making promises. This is someone.
Promises of what?
Of commitment, of relationships.
Just a second.
repaying.
I don't care about commitment relationship. That's not my job. You want to go commitment relationship? Go on Jerry Springer. If you want to come here, this is a court. Court, you talk about if he's making statements, he was making statements about returning the money.
Exactly.
That's all I'm interested in.
And he had returned money in the past, and I indicated that it was a loan on the check.
I understand that, madam. You're not following me. If you give somebody almost $1,000, which you said to me a moment ago was more money than you had ever given them, and you thoroughly expected him to have the money as soon as he put his keister back on land where you were, and all he gave you was a magnet.
Yes, sir.
Right? Then when he comes to you and says, I need another $135, I need another $50, you say, you're not getting another penny, my dear, until I get back my $960. And if you do, deal with it. And I don't want to hear about commitment. Commitment, we go someplace else. Commitment, we don't deal with here. All right. Let me hear from you.
I'm glad you settled that for me, Your Honor.
Don't thank me yet. I'm not finished with you. Where's her $960?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I, being the wonderful person that I am, tried to save her a lot of money by letting her go through one of my mortgage brokers.
What did that cost you?
It didn't cost me anything. What it did, it saved her thousands.
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kendra Pickering says ex-boyfriend Charles Cannon owes for the cost to attend a football game with his friends. Charles says he saved her thousands by helping to refinance her mobile home.
Go ahead.
Actually, it should be a balance of $40 owed to me.
Just tell me where, honey.
Because at the time, right before, I think it was right around September, I was working part-time selling mobile homes. By doing that, I was involved and had relationships with several different mortgage companies. At the time, Ms. Pickering was talking about getting a house refinanced. She had went around to several different other mortgage companies.
I don't want to hear you.
Thank you.
Talking. Keep talking. I can multitask.
Actually, she was thinking about refinancing the house through the mortgage company she was in at the time that she was thinking about refinance. So I, being the wonderful person that I am, tried to save her a lot of money by letting her go through one of my mortgage brokers.
And what did that cost you?
Actually, it didn't cost me anything. What it did, it saved her thousands.
Right. Didn't cost you anything.
So I agreed. I said, well, look, she's getting $13,000 back. I said, well, I agree to set you up with the guy. Just give me a $1,000 referral fee.
What kind of character are you?
We wasn't in a relationship. This is her imagination of this marriage.
Listen to me. What kind of character are you?
Wonderful.
No. No. Not wonderful. Not
I had
wonderful.
to pay. Could you ask?
Wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
And don't tell me no relationship, because although I'm not entertaining these things, clearly she gave you this money.
Well, it wasn't to the extent that she's saying,
Don't give me extent. Whether you have a little extent, sir, that's your problem, or a bigger extent, that's maybe everybody's problem. He has a smaller extent, he won't acknowledge that.
Well,
listen to me very carefully. If you have even a smaller extent relationship, which will be your long-term problem.
Yes, ma'am.
Or not.
Yes, ma'am.
If you are in a relationship with somebody and intimate with somebody, and if they need something and it doesn't cost you anything, because you know somebody who could help her out getting refinancing for her house and you hook her up with that person, then you don't be a pig and say, well, I'm saving you all this money, so why don't you give me a little bit of money because I saved you all that money. You say, I'm glad I could do something nice for you.
I mean, but
I was
only doing the American way.
But do it the American way with somebody else that you're not sleeping with, sir.
Well, Your Honor,
well, don't give me well, Your Honor. You owe her $960. She gave it to you. Why don't you give the money back to her and say finished?
My point is, the big point is, this was not an issue until she came to my house one evening. And I said, look, I don't want to be bothered. Okay, this was over a year after. She didn't file this till after a year after.
I don't want to hear. Yeah, so?
It wasn't a big issue till she came to my house.
Yeah.
Way out of control. I said, look, I don't want to be bothered. I'm ready to move on. And the police department had to come by. They told her, look, ma'am, you need to leave. And then she came up with the issues about the money. And they said, well, if that's the problem, you need to go file it in court.
So if this lady is saying to you, this is standing in the way of my moving forward, clearly you benefited from this money. Clearly I gave it to you, $960.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel as if I've been used. You don't want a relationship anymore, and you don't want to return the money. Relationship, I can't force you, but the money, I want you to pay me. Then you give her the money. It didn't cost you any money, right? So you act like a man, whether you have a big commitment or a little commitment. You give her back the money. $960, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He knows that he's made promises of love, commitment, gave me a ring at Christmas, and now he denies all of this?
It was spoken about.
I'm just in awe at how he could lie.
Restaurant general manager Doug Bielefeld and his daughter, 17-year-old Ashley, are suing Ashley's former friend, 18-year-old Christopher Jenneret, for damaging her car. Christopher says he had permission to drive it.
Order. All rise. This is case number 279 on the calendar in the matter of Bielefeld versus Jenneret. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Bielefeld, other than being the owner of this car that was damaged allegedly by the defendant, you have no independent knowledge of this case. Is that right?
That is correct. She also is it her car. It's not my car.
It's your daughter's car?
Yes, she owns the car.
Okay, so why don't you have a seat?
Okay.
Step up. Your first name is?
Ashley.
Ashley, according to your complaint, you went out partying one evening and the defendant was within this group that you were partying with. Is that right?
Right.
And you don't know what happened, but you passed out. The next day you woke up and you found that something had happened to your car.
Right.
You don't remember giving anybody permission to drive your car?
No, I don't.
When did this happen?
August 27th.
Your first name is Chris?
Yes.
Tell me about August 27th, Chris.
Well, we were all drinking.
Who was all?
My witnesses, me and Ashley.
These two people?
Right. Just
the four of you?
Yes.
Where were you drinking?
At Jean's apartment.
Who's Jean? Can I see a show of hands, please? Who's Jean?
I'm Jean.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay, we were there drinking. Okay, and as it got later, me and Dalton, my friend Dalton right there, we got hungry, so we wanted to go get something to eat. So we asked Ashley if we could use her car to get something to eat. We went down to Jean's car, got the keys out, took her car to go get something to eat.
Just a minute. Hold on. Hold a second. Let's backtrack a little bit. You were at his house drinking.
Right.
What were you drinking?
It was Smirnoff vodka and Cardi Gold, I believe.
And what time had you started drinking?
We got the stuff about 10 or 10:30, and
How did you get to his house?
I rode with Jean.
Jean?
Yes.
How did Ashley get to the house?
She drove her car.
Herself?
Yes.
What time did she get there?
We got the alcohol and we all just met up there, so right afterwards.
So about 10 or 10:30?
Right. That's when we got the alcohol, and then after that we went to Jean's apartment.
So there were two cars there?
Yes.
Jean's, your friend's, and Ashley's?
Right.
And then I assume you all were drinking. Is that right?
Yes.
What time did you get hungry?
I'd say it was around in between 3 and 4, probably 3 or 3:30.
So you had been there for a long time drinking?
Well, we weren't necessarily drinking the whole time nonstop.
I didn't say double time nonstop. You were up from 10:30 till 3:30. You hadn't gone to sleep and you were drinking.
Right.
And you got hungry about 3:30.
Yes.
Where in his apartment were you when you got hungry?
right there in the living room.
Were you all in the living room?
Yeah.
Where was Ashley in the living room?
It,
Look at me. Where was Ashley in the living room?
she
Look at me.
She was by the couch.
What do
I
you mean
believe.
by the couch? What does that mean? Standing
By
up
the
at a...
futon. I mean,
What does by the futon mean?
she was standing beside the futon.
Standing.
Yes.
How long had she been standing, Chris?
I don't know.
Well, it's about 3 or 3:30. You got hungry. You turned around and you saw her standing by the futon. What was she doing standing by the futon?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to her. I mean, I wasn't
So
paying
then why did
attention.
you give me an answer? She was standing by the futon.
I mean, I wasn't specifically watching Ashley, so I couldn't tell you exactly what she was doing. But we were all in the living room. We were all by his door. Me and Dalton got hungry. We asked her if we could use her car. We went down the stairs.
Why didn't you use his car?
I just didn't ask him because I figured he'd say no.
Why
So I
did you
didn't
think
even...
he'd... Shh. Why did you think he'd say no? He's your friend.
Well, because he's a little more picky about his cars, so...
What does that mean? Explain that to me, Chris. He's what do you mean, a little more picky about his cars?
He really doesn't like to just let people borrow them or
Especially
nothing,
people
so
who have been drinking.
Probably.
Now, what kind of car does Ashley have?
Dodge Neon.
A new one, an old one?
It's like a 95.
Is it in good shape, or was it in good shape?
Yeah.
What kind of car does he have?
ZX2, 98.
So, who got hungry?
Me and Dalton.
So the boys got hungry.
Yes.
Ashley wasn't hungry.
Nothing I know of.
Did you ask her?
No.
No, let me go back there for 1 second, Chris. You were... Shh, please. You were going out to get food because you were hungry. Is that right?
Yes.
Who was hungry?
Me and Dalton.
What's the other kid's name?
Gene.
Gene. Was Gene hungry too?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Why not?
Because me and Dalton were hungry and we just wanted to go get something to eat.
You mean you're just selfish people?
No.
You had 4 of you there, 4 of you up drinking all night, and you say, we're going to get something to eat. So you don't say to your friends who you've been drinking with all night, hey, we're going to get something to eat. You want us to bring you back something? You don't say that?
No.
No? Where were you going, by the way, at 3:30 in the morning to get something to eat?
I was going over to my friend's apartment to get some pizza that they had, so we were just going to heat it up and eat it.
To get pizza not from a store, from his freezer.
It was from a store, but it was in the fridge, so it was like leftovers.
How did you know that he had that leftover pizza?
I had talked to him earlier.
When earlier?
Before we got the alcohol, probably around 8 or 9.
Oh, so tell me about that conversation that you had with him. I'm curious. Come on, Chris.
Well, we
Come
were
on,
just
the story's
talking
getting better.
and I knew...
Story's getting better.
Well,
About
we were
8,
just
9 o'clock. I'm speaking. When I speak, you don't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm sorry. I took your car. I was drunk. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot.
Okay, but I don't know...
I don't want to hear you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Ashley Bielefeld says former friend Christopher Jenneret drove her car without permission and damaged it. Ashley says Christopher took her keys while she was passed out cold.
Now, at 8, 9 o'clock, before you went to get the vodka, you spoke to your friend and said, listen, I may get hungry later tonight. You got any food in your house? Is that what? So that was the conversation?
No, I did not even plan on going over there. It's
So
just
tell me
something
about the conversation.
I can't remember the conversation.
Try to think hard. You weren't drunk at that point at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening.
He just called. We just talked, just like friend-to-friend conversation, and I knew that he had leftover pizza, and I knew he would still be up at that time, so we went over there to get some, which I never even ate because of this.
Because of what?
The car.
Well, now tell me what happened with the car. You went over to Ashley and you asked her for the keys when she was standing next to the futon after having been drinking from 10:30 until 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
And she said, sure, take my keys. She gave you the keys. Is that right?
Yes.
And you got into the car.
keys were in Jean's car.
You went down to Jean's car and got the keys.
Right.
What were the keys to Ashley's car doing in Jean's car?
I have no idea. I just know that the keys were in Jean's car.
How do you know that?
Well, okay, we went joyriding for a little while in Jean's car, all 4 of us. We drove around.
When did you do that?
This was before we got food, but after we started drinking. We were a little bored. We went driving around.
So that's somewhere after 10:30, but before 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
You went joyriding.
Yeah, it was probably
in his
around
car.
12, maybe.
Shh. In his car.
Yes.
So explain to me how her keys were in his car.
She had left them in there.
How do you know that?
I just knew.
How did you know? Look at me.
Because I knew they were in there. I saw them in there. I mean,
you saw them?
Yeah.
Just a minute.
We all left.
Because you saw them, that she had left them in the car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Keep going. I love it when they sort of trip over their ties.
Okay, so where would you like me to begin at?
No, I'd like you to continue, sir. You asked her for the keys when she
Right.
was standing next to the futon.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
But you already knew where the car keys were because they were downstairs in the car because that's where you had seen them when you were joyriding at 12:30. Is that correct? Yes. All right. So then you went downstairs and you took the keys out of Jean's car. Let's pick it up from there.
Okay. So then me and Dalton got in her car. We started driving. We were getting on the highway to go over there. Whenever we were entering the highway, we had to turn right to get on the ramp. So we turned right, we hit something, we had a blowout, we pulled over, and me and Dalton had walked back to Gene's house so that we could get him to take us back and help us change the tire and everything. So, because there was like nothing in there to fix the tire with, so we had Gene come back and help us.
Now, Ashley, according to you, you were so drunk you just either drunk or drugged or something. You passed out and you don't know what was going on.
I don't remember anything after we were driving in Jean's car.
Can I see the estimates for the car, please? Now, Mr. Generette, I am going to sum up the credible parts of your testimony, sir. And maybe this is a good lesson for you. Just because people are older doesn't mean that they're stupid. You were trying to get over telling me a story that didn't make sense. And I assume that you understand at this point that I understand that the story you gave me initially and the story that you wrote in your answer was a lot of who shot John. Because I believe that you all were drinking from 10:30 until 3:30. I believe that you all went out joyriding in his car. I believe that you decided to continue the joyriding and that he said to you, "You're not taking my car again because you're drunk as a skunk." I do not believe that you asked her for the keys to her car because you already knew where the keys to her car were. You had seen them in the car at 12:30 when you came in, so you knew that her keys were downstairs. Why in the world would you go over to her when she was standing next to a futon and saying, "Can I have your keys?" when you already knew where her keys were? Stand up straight. Now, when you hit something, according to you, you just had a blowout and that's all you had. No, that's not what happened. You hit something with such force that the tire blew out, knocking the whole alignment off the car. That's what happened. You're responsible. Period. End of discussion. I'm sorry. I took your car without permission. I was drunk. I had no right to be driving a car. I not only could have killed myself, I could have killed somebody else. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. And I'm going to pay for the damage I caused. That's what you do.
Okay, but I don't know.
I don't want to hear you. Whatever damage it was, maybe it wasn't attributed to you. Sometimes when you're stupid, you got to pay for things that weren't even your fault. Sometimes you do. Maybe the bumper on the car was loose and might have fallen off the next day, but because you took the car and hit something, it was damaged already. You damaged it a little bit more, it fell off. It's your fault. You had no right to get behind the wheel of a car, any car, yours, his, hers, because you were drinking. No right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Ashley Bielefeld says former friend Christopher Generette drove her car without permission and damaged it. Ashley says Christopher took her keys while she was passed out cold.
Anything you want to say? Anything you...
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
I just want to make sure that the fact that he did ask for the keys, me and Ashley were sitting on the couch.
No. You weren't sitting on the couch, sir. She was standing by the futon.
That is the couch.
She was standing by the futon.
I'm saying we were sitting on the couch.
Well,
which we
so
were.
far, that's a different story that he just gave me.
That's my story. I
Let's
believe,
go. So you and Ashley were sitting on the couch. And?
Yes. And he came up, asked her for her car, and she said her keys were in my car. And then he asked me for my keys to see if he could go to the car and get her keys, which is what happened.
Well, but that's not what he just told me, sir. He told me that he saw the keys in her car after you had been joyriding in your car. So he knew where the keys were. You see, that's what he just told me. Maybe you're all a little blurred because you were drinking too much.
I understand.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is.
Good. Sit down. You want to say anything?
No, I'm all right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $744.52. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't remember that night.
Well, yeah, we were partying and it did get out of hand.
They're obviously too young and irresponsible to be doing acts like this, drinking and driving, out running around.
What's done is done.
I want her to be able to put this behind her and move on.
We don't even talk anymore.
Not to drink as much, maybe.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Burdock versus Mayo, step forward, please.
21-year-old student Jessica Burdock is suing her former friend, 20-year-old cashier Jennifer Mayo, for shooting her in the face with a pellet gun. Jennifer says Jessica asked her to do it.
Ms. Burdock, the defendant is a friend of yours, or was a friend of yours.
Was.
And she shot you in the face.
Yes, she did.
With a pellet gun.
Mm-hmm.
Could you step up here? I'd like to look and see where the mark is from that.
I have this scar and an indent in my gum.
Well, the indent in your gum you don't see. Let me see the scar.
And no feeling in 2 teeth.
Okay, step back. I'd like you to tell me when this happened and under what circumstances.
It happened last year, July 7th, I believe. And we were trying to wake him up, and then we brought him.
Let's start from where were you?
We were at my apartment.
How many people were there?
4 of us.
Did you all live together?
Joe and I did, and we had another roommate, and she was over visiting us.
Go ahead.
And we were looking for cameras to go get developed that day, and she found Joe's pellet gun. And she played around with it, and she pointed it at my face. And I said, "Don't point that at me." And she said, "Well, it's never loaded." And she shot it.
No. Shut up. Don't speak. Don't speak.
And I remember my hair went flying, and I had this really bad sting, and I covered my mouth. And she was like, "Did that hurt?" And I moved my hand, and there was just like blood pouring out, and I started screaming and crying. And
what kind of medical treatment did you need?
I went to the hospital in the ambulance, and then they said that the pellet was lodged too far in my gum to be taken out, so I had to go have oral surgery.
Can I see your medical bills, please?
I also have a picture. There's a police report there also.
Take it away, Miss Mayo. Let's hear you now.
Okay, we had woke up that morning and we had started cleaning her apartment because she had her DHS lady coming to check on the apartment to see if it was all in order. So we were cleaning, and I picked up this pellet gun and said...
What'd you pick it up for?
All of our friends in previous days had passed around the gun to feel the CO2 pressure. That is what I knew it as, a CO2 gun. I had no idea it could carry anything else but CO2.
Shh. Did you hear what I said? So, how old are you?
20 years old.
So you picked it up?
Yes.
How big is this gun? Where was it? Where did you have to get it from in order to pick it up?
It was on a table.
Go ahead.
And so I said, "This is CO2 pressure. You want to feel what this is like?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, it's not loaded. It can't carry anything but CO2. And so I said, "Here, you want to feel this?" And she said, "Okay, go ahead." And so, and does it hurt? Oh my God. And we were both hysterically crying.
Miss Mayo, that is such a crock that you just gave me. I believe that this was an accident. Listen to me. I believe that this is an accident, which is your defense, that it was an accident, that you didn't know that it was a pellet gun. But let's examine the circumstances of what you did. You picked up a gun like an idiot. You weren't sure what it was, like a fool. You pointed it at someone like a moron. And then you said to another human being who is a friend of yours, "You want to see how this feels." She's smart enough to say, "No." That's what you said. Then you fudged it a little, because then she said, "All right, go ahead. Shoot me," pointing it at her face. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. No, that didn't happen. What happened was she said no, and you were fooling around because you really didn't think that it had a pellet in it. And even if you did think that it was more than that, you had no intention of hurting her. Who should pay these bills?
I have no problem paying these bills.
Good. Oh, perfect. So
well,
then
there
what are we doing here? Good. You do something irresponsible, you have to pay. Our medical bills are $1,278. For your stupidity, I'm tacking on another $2,000. $3,278. That's all. Step out.
Thank you.
These are excuses. You may step out.
She is very irresponsible. She is selfish. She only thinks about herself. That's all she cares about.
She said, okay, you know, let me feel what it feels like.
Zoe lives at home, loaches off of everybody. You don't know that, honey.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, no, you don't.
They were shooting themselves in the mouth. They felt it on their face.
I was never around. That did not happen that day. I've never seen them do that. But she knows that was a pellet gun.
She lies about, okay, I have 4 tattoos and only has 1.
About time that she faced up to some responsibilities instead of screwing over all of her previous friends.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martin versus Harrington. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Dana Martin is suing former friend, 20-year-old student Robin Harrington, for the cost of 2 tickets to a Britney Spears concert.
Don't get comfortable, Bert. Have everybody sit down.
Okay. Have a seat. Don't get comfortable.
Right.
Have a seat. Have a
Mr.
seat.
Martin, you purchased a couple of concert tickets for Britney Spears' concert, and you say you bought them for the defendant who said she wanted to go. Now she changed her mind, and you say you're stuck with the tickets, and you want her to pay the $250 for the tickets.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. When is the concert?
21st.
So the concert hasn't happened yet.
No, ma'am.
And she said, sure, get me a couple of tickets. You told her that the concert was in Chicago. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right.
No, no, ma'am. I told her we had gotten tickets in February for the concert in Chicago, and they were really bad seats behind the stage, so I sent those back. So we said that we would get tickets to the concert in Indianapolis when they went on sale. And she said, you know, purchase me 2 tickets, so I did.
Just a second. Did you know that the concert was in Indianapolis?
No, I didn't.
Where did you think the concert was?
In Chicago.
Is that what they originally told you?
Exactly. He didn't tell me it was Indianapolis until he wanted me to pay for them.
All right. Where are the tickets now?
They're here.
How many people are going?
4.
Did you try to sell those 2 tickets?
I tried to get rid of them, but I couldn't.
But those are real good seats.
Yeah, they're really good seats.
Put them on eBay. Somebody's going to buy them. You pay $250 for them?
Right.
And they're...
No, I
paid
paid 100.
Go ahead.
I paid $170 for them, but I don't feel that I should have to exhaust myself trying to sell these tickets when we had an agreement that she was going to pay for these tickets.
Very, very good. Put them on eBay, sir. You got rid of the ones that were in Chicago because you said they weren't good enough seats. So you got real good seats this time?
We sent a... Yeah, we sent
You got... Just a second. You got real good seats?
Yes, we did.
Put them on eBay. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She'd already made a decision before she even came to the stand.
It was an open and shut case.
She wanted to get the best seats possible for a Britney Spears concert, and that's what we did.
I didn't agree to go to Indianapolis. I agreed to go to Chicago.
We didn't change the location of the venue. She was well aware of the location of the venue.
I didn't even want to go to see Britney Spears. I wanted to go to Chicago, so I shouldn't have had to pay.
For an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Ms. Morrissey, you have a lot of claims here against the defendant for a personal loan and the value of personal belongings.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. She was a friend of yours. You used to go gambling together, Ms. Morrissey?
Yes, we did.
How many times a week did you go gambling?
Probably once or twice a week.
And did you go just the 2 of you?
Yes.
And over what period of time?
Over...
A year, 2, 3?
Probably a year.
There was a time when you went and, according to you, Miss Comer didn't have any money. And so you agreed to advance her money. And she says, actually, you agreed to advance her money. And the agreement was if you won, she would pay you back with her winnings, whatever it was. Whatever it was. How much money did you give her to gamble?
I loaned her $230 with the agreement that she would pay me an extra $200 because she came by and we were going to go meet at the casino, but I didn't really want to do it because I have a boyfriend that doesn't
Just a second. I don't need a whole story.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So she went to the casino without me, and then she came by my house after that and told me that she spent her boyfriend's money at the casino, and so that she was supposed to use it at the store. And so I gave her the money to cover that, and that's when we made that agreement.
You gave her the money to cover that because she asked you for it?
Yes.
And she agreed to pay you back?
Yes.
No.
Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money?
Tabitha Morrissey claims her former friend, Tina Comer, owes for an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Go.
No, it was in February.
Okay, February.
I won a jackpot.
Just a second. Just a second. February, did you go to the casino and lose some of your boyfriend's money?
No.
Okay. Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money at the casino?
$30 of it. And they told me I have to come back with my license to get it.
I don't want to hear you.
Sorry.
So I asked Tabitha if she would take me back up to get my jackpot money, and I would pay her the money that I owe her, plus give her $60 for gas. And that's when I paid her the money back. And then her boyfriend also, there's some guy that she brought up there with us, asked if he can borrow some money because he said Tabitha said she'll pay me back. So I gave him $100 too.
When you came back and told her that you had lost some of your boyfriend's money, according to you, it was $30, not $230.
Yeah, it was $30. I already paid her the $2-something when she took me to Cass Creek in February.
Oh, that was before.
Yeah, that's why I didn't owe her no money. But I paid her back in February, the money that I did owe her.
Okay, yes.
And
come on, let's go.
Okay, well, here's where I won the money.
Proof. I also got proof of her saying that when she still owed me the money back in May. I got proof of that, too.
Casino check. I'm not interested in this.
That's when I won the money.
I don't care.
And the other one shows when I had to go back and pick it up.
I don't care about that either.
And then...
Shh. April 28th. I can loan you some. That's in April.
Yeah, I said April 28th.
So that's when she asks for some money?
Yes.
And that was the $230?
Yes.
I'd like to see what you have.
This is...
That's April. That's not February.
No. That's in June when she told me how it stated what she owed me in cash-wise.
Okay, so on June, her friends took beads that belonged to you, and you say to her, so don't tell me you don't steal from me, friends don't steal from friends, so I won't burn you for what I borrowed, which is $230. But I decided I will not give you the other $200. So I'm just not going to give you the extra. That's what it's going to cost you for stealing from me. You should think twice before you steal from, because I could say, I'm not giving you nothing, so I'm only taking back what I was going to give you. We had to sign some more papers, so I should get it. And that girl is going to get it. She lied saying the hair clippers were hers. I don't care about all that. Okay, I'm going to deal with this loan of $230. And it's clear from your statement, Ms. Comer, although it's usurious interest, and I'm not going to grant you that other $200 because it's outrageous. She's giving you 100% interest on the $230, but you are entitled to your $230 back.
But
okay, because she acknowledges, just a second, she acknowledges the debt on June 11th. Mm-hmm. Now, what about the personal belongings that you say? And don't give me a lot of nonsense. I'm not listening to a lot of nonsense.
Okay, yes. She came to me and said she wanted to do a yard sale, so we were going to do it in May.
Okay, you were supposed to do a yard sale.
Yes.
It worked for a week. It didn't work the next week. What items do you say she has of yours?
She has pictures of her yard sale that does have my stuff in it.
Well, what did she end up with your stuff for? You were there at the yard sale.
I didn't have a car, so she came and picked me up and took me to my storage to go get my yard sale stuff to take over to her house to do it in the yard sale. She was supposed to contact me and come get me when she was getting ready to do the yard sale. I stayed the night at her house, and we were setting up all night long because it was a really big yard sale. It was more like a flea market type thing. And she never contacted me after dropping me back off at home, and she said that me off. She said it was in the driveway.
You have that in text
That was
message?
My personal belongings.
You have it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you. So this looks like a lot of cheap plastic crystals.
No, my wedding ring was in that box. I had my box of jewelry with me to go through when I stayed the night at her house, and I was taking out the other jewelry, and the box that was coming with me home, she was loading it up, and she said it fell out of her car. So I don't see how it fell out, but she said it did. So when she got there that night, she said she'd seen it in her driveway. So, I mean, that had my wedding ring in it. And I was in the middle of getting the divorce, but it still means something to me.
Mm-hmm. $230.
About the money, about all her stuff, everything was a lie.
Because she just doesn't want to pay me my money.
She just wants to get money out of me. Because I won 2 jackpots and I got my mother's inheritance.
It hurts very much.
She's done.
I don't even care to see her.
That was really very simple when you discarded this garage sale and crystal beads listed as some of the items in the text message that were their boyfriends. Tweezers. When you got rid of that, it was actually pretty simple.
Cash loan, $230.
Cash loan, $230 that she acknowledged in June. So.
Jessica Crosley for an unpaid loan.
Miss Crosley, I'm going to start with you. You and Mr. Smith were in a romantic relationship for a period of time.
Yes.
From when to when?
I want to say it was about a year before my son was born. My son was born February 11th, 2019, and our relationship ended about 4 or 5 months after he was born.
And after you separated, according to what I read, you sort of remained friends.
Yes.
Great. You had some trouble with your finances, and you had serious debt. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a credit collections agent.
Not a good thing when you're a credit collections agent. And this was after you had already been separated for a long period of time. And at some point, what I'm piecing together is you discussed your financial circumstances with Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And one of your options was to seek protection in bankruptcy.
Correct.
And Mr. Smith thought that that was a bad idea, I assume, on credit cards with very high interest. And since he had credit, he would take out the loan and you would pay that loan off, which was manageable every month. Is that generally what this is about?
Yeah.
Yes.
His behavior had started getting irrational, scary. Started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw.
I'm still not understanding.
Justin Smith claims his ex-girlfriend just
in a year.
March of 2022, this year.
What were the payments each month, starting in March or April, principal and interest?
He had told me that it was $500.
Told you they were $500. He took out that loan, and am I correct, Ms. Crosley, that you paid off your credit card debt?
Yes.
And you paid off your debt with the loan that he took out?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, create a situation where the money, because you were employed, would come out directly from your bank account to go to pay off the loan to his bank account.
Yes.
And you did that in what month?
That was started, I believe, at the end of April or beginning of May.
And how many such payments did you make?
Biweekly payments, I believe I made about 6.
Thereby acknowledging that...
In July of this year.
Why?
So I had started seeing my current boyfriend.
This is not a social show. Just tell me why.
So I had to take a day off of work to file for an order of protection.
Why did you have to take a day off from work to file for an order of protection?
Because I was advised to by a police officer I spoke to.
Okay. And I assume against him?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the incident.
Okay. So in July, when I started seeing my current boyfriend, Justin had expressed that he wanted us to get back together, and I had told him no, that was not going to happen. And then his behavior had started getting irrational, scary, and there was an incident on July 19th where I had allowed his mother to take my son to a play, and she was supposed to drop him off back to me, and instead of dropping him back off to me, she had dropped him off with his father at his work. And then I got a call from Justin yelling, saying, "Where are you? What are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on my way back home. Your mom's supposed to drop off Braden." He's like, "I have Braden. I'll meet you at your house." So I said, okay. We got to outside my house, and then he pulled up next to me and then started screaming out of the car, like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I was like, "I was spending time with Anthony, my boyfriend." And he's like, "I'm taking Braden. I'm not going to give him back to you." And my son's crying in the back seat. And I said, "No, you give him back to me. It is my day to have him." And he drove away. He later called me and said I could meet them at Dairy Queen. So I met them there. I got her at me. And as me and my son started driving off, he threw a milkshake at my car, which scared me and my son very much.
Okay, good. And you filed for an order of protection. You had a trial on the order of protection, yes. And the judge dismissed your order of protection.
Yes.
After the trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm still not understanding why you stopped paying on the loan.
So when I had lost my job.
You lost your job when?
The next day. The incident happened on the 19th. I had to take the 20th off
to file for the order of protection. The 21st, I was let go.
Oh, that had nothing to do with you being let go. Nothing. I just want to know why you stopped paying on the loan. You stopped paying on the loan because you lost your job?
When all these incidents happened, Justin had stopped paying for daycare, which was our agreed upon child support payment. We don't have a court order for child support, but he had been paying all of daycare. I cover all of his other finances.
So that was an agreement that you had, that he would pay for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And he stopped paying in July?
Yes, he started only paying half of daycare.
Okay, so let's go back. He started paying for half.
Yes.
How much was he supposed to pay per month?
$560 was the full amount of daycare each month.
Okay, and he had been paying that. In July, he cut it down to?
To $270, I believe.
80.
Okay, so he wasn't completely not paying. He was paying part of it.
Correct.
Tell me why you cut the payments in half, because you have a counterclaim for that.
Yeah. So in July, we started a custody case for full custody of our son.
You're talking in July. Who started the custody case?
I did.
Care, because you have that case in family court. The court there will make a determination as far as future child support and whether or not this daycare should have been paid. So you have no reason for not paying the loan.
I was planning on filing bankruptcy.
Okay, but you didn't. You didn't file for bankruptcy. You did the smart thing. How much is left on the loan?
It's in excess of $12,000 or $11,000.
What interest rate is on that loan, by the way?
36%, I believe. Current balance as of November 30th, $12,631.
How is that 30% loan?
100%. These were online lenders.
Oh, wow. Okay, you have a counterclaim. Harassment. Daycare costs is out. Lost wages because you say you had to take a day off to file a protective order and you were fired? Nonsense. Harassment. Let's hear it. And don't go back to anything that you told the judge during the hearing that you had where he dismissed your application for an order of protection.
Okay, well, the order of protection...
Okay, that was... They're just shh. Well, if that's the testimony, it's already been adjudicated. A judge, using the same measure of proof that I would use, dismissed your case. So I'm not relitigating that case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I believe he was angry that I started a relationship with somebody.
I think the restraining order was part of her defense as to why she didn't want to pay me back anymore.
I was ready to file bankruptcy, and he had offered to take it out for me.
I think that that's a good lesson, that you can't use the court systems and restraining orders to get out of a loan that you have really no excuse for not paying except for you lost your job. And I just think it's tricky. I think that a lot of defendants come in here and think that they can just say, I didn't have the money and so I don't have to pay it. But that's not the case.
What's most interesting to me is these 800% or 500% or 100% interest-bearing loans.
I know, it's something.
Where did that come from?
It's something I've seen recently in the past couple of years. It seems like every online shopping venue now has some form of loan payment or loan offering or some
personal items and money from a GoFundMe fundraiser.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2119, Crane versus Crane.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, Miss Crane, this is a very sad case. This is your daughter.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how many children that you have, but I know that you had a son who was in medical school, who was, how old, 25 years old?
30.
30. Sounds as if he was a popular young man. He was in an outing with friends, and sadly, he drowned.
Yes, he did.
And that happened, just a second, and that happened when?
That happened July 29th of this year.
This is what the case is about. His friends, in his memory, started a GoFundMe page.
Correct.
And there is approximately $40,000 in that GoFundMe page.
There was, yes.
I said approximately.
Yes.
There was. And your daughter is, for want of a better word, in charge of that Facebook page GoFundMe proceeds.
Correct.
And it is your claim that as the next of kin, because he died without a will, you are entitled to some or all of that Facebook page.
It doesn't even matter about the GoFundMe funds. I mean, that would be nice in a perfect world, but my daughter took everything from the day and emptied it. So I didn't get my chance to be Josh's mom for the last time. I didn't get to empty his apartment.
I can't cure that, madam.
No.
I can't cure that.
No.
And you can't put any sort of a value on anything that your daughter might have taken from that apartment because you don't know what was there.
Correct.
So I can't help you with that. In a perfect world, maybe she would have gone with you to the apartment, but she didn't.
Correct.
Based upon what I read, you were not there during the search for your son or the discovery of his body. Is that correct?
I was at home.
Okay. And your daughter was there?
Yes, she was.
And I assume that you were close to your brother?
Absolutely close to my brother.
Just curious, what prevented you? You were notified that your son was missing. What prevented you from going there?
My daughter was at the house the day Josh went missing, and we had my car torn apart. She left after they called her, and I definitely would have hitched a ride, but I didn't have a vehicle.
Your Honor,
Just a second. Did you say she was at your house?
Yes, she was.
Well, then why didn't you go with her?
They didn't go home. Yeah, we were working on my car. She left to go home, and she got a call from Search and Rescue. I hadn't been answering my phone.
Oh, well, that's a different story. You hadn't been answering your phone. It wasn't as if nobody called you.
No, she didn't call.
It wasn't as if nobody called you. Did somebody call you?
Right, from Search and Rescue, yes.
Somebody called you?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Crane, this is your problem. If your son passed away without a will, and I'm sure that somebody else, maybe a professional has told you that, a legal professional has told you that, if your son passed away without a will, depending upon the laws in your jurisdiction, you, as his parent, might be construed as next of kin, and any property that he owned at the time of his death would transfer to you.
Right, correct, yes.
He didn't own the GoFundMe page at the time he died.
No, he did not.
So you don't get it.
Okay.
Any part of it.
Okay.
Your Honor,
the
she already
people
received funds from the GoFundMe as well.
Just a second. The people that set up the GoFundMe page, I assume, were classmates of your brothers?
Yes, they were his other fourth-year medical students that had reached out to me and asked if they could...
Don't tell me what they asked you. They set up a GoFundMe page. Do you have the paperwork for the GoFundMe page? I'd like to see it. Okay, so they raised $39,287.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything that is in writing that makes you either the beneficiary of...
The organizer of
Would you do me a favor, look it up?
Underneath the photo.
It does say that I am the beneficiary listed on there.
Thank you. You're Jessica.
I am.
Okay. Is organizing this fundraiser on behalf of Jessica Crane.
Mm-hmm.
That's her.
That has changed. Initially, it was for Joshua Crane, and with the legal
Just show me.
It's never been for...
Show me, just a second. Mrs. Crane.
Yes.
It wouldn't make any difference, but I'm willing to look at something that originally it was on behalf of somebody else.
The reason I'm here today is not because of the GoFundMe.
Your Honor, that's exactly why she's here. It's the money. It's always been about the money.
All right, how are you going to pay the note on a $14,000 truck?
I plan on returning to work. This incident has...
Thankfully keeping her son's property and money from his GoFundMe fundraiser.
This is your complaint. I'm suing the defendant, Jessica Crane, in the amount of $10,000 for my portion of my deceased son's GoFundMe account and personal items, including my son's guitars and his vehicle.
Correct.
Okay. Now you're not looking for his GoFundMe account.
I never really was, because I never knew the law on GoFundMe. I tried to find out and speak to someone about it and get legal advice, and I could never find anyone.
Well, it's very easy. He didn't own this property while he was alive, so you have no title to it. If they said that they're starting a GoFundMe page in the name of your son to be for the benefit of animal rescue, you wouldn't have any control over that.
No, it was meant for his funeral costs.
Just a second.
Which I also paid
It says,
for,
just
Your
a
Honor.
second, on behalf of Jessica Crane.
Right.
On behalf of Jessica Crane, just for my own curiosity, I'd like to know, your son was buried at some point?
He was cremated.
He was cremated.
And I have the receipts. I paid for his obituary, his cremation.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is, there were no serious funeral costs?
I got everything donated on my funeral.
That's not true as
Just a second. I'm asking you, Mrs. Crane, did you pay anything for your son's funeral?
No.
Okay. I find troublesome that his friends, because that sometimes happens, it's human nature, you feel so badly about something, you want to do something, and probably the easiest thing to do is to raise money. And the easiest thing for probably these people who are in their 20s and 30s is to start a GoFundMe page. I mean, it just would seem to me if they wanted to do a scholarship for him at the school, if they wanted to do something else, this is for those people out there who are watching, who are GoFundMe people. I've seen some of the more ridiculous ones, you know, and there are good-natured people out there who see these things and will donate $5 and $10. Oh, my goodness, they need funeral costs. Well, in this case, there were no issues, and almost all this money, $40,000, is left. What are you going to do with it?
So there's a couple things that I planned on doing with it. It's why the money has been sitting in an account.
I just want the people who donated this money to know what you're going to do with it. It's not for you to buy anything for yourself. That would be ridiculous. That's not what was in their minds. So I want to know who I'm dealing with.
Your Honor, after all of Josh's others as well, and they have talked about setting up a scholarship fund for my brother, and I was going to donate a portion of that money back if UC Davis decides to set that up on his behalf. And then I also wanted to set up scholarship funds for my sons, who my brother was very close with.
So what you're telling me is you're going to give a little to UC Davis for a scholarship in his name, and you're going to use some for your two sons for their education.
Absolutely.
Well, that's really not what it was intended to do. I'm just telling you, it was not what it was intended to do.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's how GoFundMes are set up. People can set them up for an intended purpose, and they're used for anything.
But I'm just telling the people out there, before you spend money on a GoFundMe page, make sure it's going to go to a place where you want it to go and for the intended purpose you want it, which is to somehow celebrate the life of this young man that was cut short so tragically. And it would seem to me, Miss Crane, you don't have to do anything because they made you the beneficiary of this money. But it would seem to me that a stand-up person would take whatever is left of that and create a scholarship in his name at UC Davis, which is where he went to school. I can't order you to do that, but I'm just telling you, and everybody else out there, make sure if you have a good heart and a good spirit, you know where your money is going. Okay, so you're not entitled to any of the money. Now, did you take your brother's guitars?
I cleared out my brother's entire apartment.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just answer. Would you like one of your son's guitars?
Yes, very
Would you
much
like
so.
one of your son's guitars? Do you have any of your son's guitars?
None.
Your Honor, my mom has a long history of substance abuse. She's bought gifts for me in the past, and she's pawned them off. And I would like to keep them in my family, so that's where they stay. So that's why I have possession of them, because I don't want them going to a pawn shop.
I was told I could visit one of my son's guitars at her home.
Just a second, do you play guitar?
No. I just want it because it's my son's, and I bought 3 of his guitars for him.
None of these guitars were purchased by her. They're very expensive guitars. My brother purchased
I can't order her to do anything. I'm just asking her whether she would give you one of the guitars. And she said no. The next thing we have here is a vehicle. Now, tell me about the vehicle.
So Josh didn't have a lot. He was a fourth-year medical student. He has a truck, a Toyota, a 2019 Toyota Tacoma, that he still owes about $14,000 on. I have that here, $13,841.76 on. And of the keys, they found his keys on his body, and they gave me his keys. So we brought the truck up to where we live in Northern California, took the truck up there, and it's been kept in storage until this is all sorted out. I personally wanted to keep the truck. I have the means to finance the truck in my name. I have the means to make a payment. She does not have the means to make a payment. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a driver's license. She can't provide insurance for it. I mean, she has driving.
That's not particularly relevant. There's $14,000 left on it. Are you employed?
I was until
just to say, the answer is either yes or no. Are you employed?
No.
All right, how are you going to pay the note on a $14,000 truck?
I plan on returning to work. This incident has taken my job, believe it or not.
Actually, I don't believe it.
Your Honor, I work 3 jobs.
Just a second. Actually, I don't believe it.
Okay.
So the answer is, if you can't afford to make the payments on this truck, and the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to be repossessed by the bank. Have you been making payments on the truck?
I have not made a payment.
Who is the finance company?
Credit union.
Where is the truck currently stored? Give me the address.
I don't have an exact address.
Ann Lynn claims her daughter, Jessica Crane, is wrongfully keeping her son's property and money from his GoFundMe fundraiser.
I want to see the paperwork on the loan. Okay. Sarah, when we finish with this case, call credit union, advise them who has the truck, let them go repossess the truck. We're finished here. Your case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
I had an addiction problem, and she's just angry. She's angry at me, and I've tried to make amends. I've tried to get this better, and she won't have it. My daughter got away with taking absolutely everything, and she wasn't entitled to it.
I think that if there's any lesson to be taken away, aside from the fact that you're not supposed to fight, when you lose somebody so young and so vital, the one innocent party is the credit union who loaned him the money to buy the truck. She's been hiding the truck now for 5 months, hasn't made a payment on it. The right thing to do is for her to turn that truck into the credit union, because I can't control that, except that I can advise the credit union where she is.